Hello, welcome, Candy Corns. That's what we're calling our audience now, to Carnage Candy. This is our horror show and our horror channel. I'm Shaun, and this is Greyson.
Hello.
We love talking horror here on Carnage Candy, and we invite you to the discussion in the comments below as we discuss Valentine from 2001. Greyson, a
Yeah,
spectacular masterpiece made by Jamie Blanks, who also made Urban Legend.
another
And
fantastic film.
Urban Legend is actually a good time. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that one someday for sure. But this is like peak kinds of movies that I wanted to talk about with you. This is the kind of stuff that it's like, this is why we have a horror channel.
oh yeah, this is that weird early 2000s horror that we started getting into, to where you could kind of tell they didn't know where to go,
Hmm.
and this movie really shows it.
Yes. So Valentine, obviously, from 2001, a dark time in horror, I would
Mhm.
say, and we'll do some dives into that later. If you
Mhm.
have any old 2000s, maybe 99 to like '06 horror movies that you want to hear us talk about, make sure and drop a comment below, and we can get that feedback from you guys. But this was a holiday thriller, obviously. I
Mhm.
just read in the trivia that it's the cheapest movie ever to get a Super Bowl spot. It only cost 10 million to make, and
Oh.
it is a star-studded cast here. We have Denise Richards, Marley Shelton, who's from Sugar and Spice
Yep.
and the new Scream movies.
And
Uh,
the same lot.
Yes, yep, Wendy Peppercorn.
Mhm.
Chelsea, we were watching Valentine, and she goes, "Marley seems like a nepo baby," and she is. She's a daughter of a director and producer. We have Katherine Heigl, Shelley Fisher, Jessica
Mhm.
Capshaw, who is the girl who they called Buffalo, and the old version of her can't talk unless her teeth are touching. The entire movie, she talks like this. And Chelsea and I just about had a complete meltdown watching her talk through her teeth. And then David, how did you say his name?
Boreanaz.
Boreanaz. My high school girlfriend called him Bornez, because she loved Buffy. So, like, and of course, he's hot off of Buffy.
And Angel.
And Angel, of course.
Mhm.
Jessica Capshaw and Katherine Heigl both went on to star in Grey's Anatomy,
Mhm.
and just pretty star-studded cast right there. And so it's about a group of friends at a junior high dance in 1988. They all turned down Geek Jeremy
Mhm.
in a pretty brutal scene. What do you think about the
Yeah,
opening?
I was watching it with Tiff, and whenever it happened, she just went, "Why are they this way?"
Yeah,
Like,
like kids are so
and
mean.
yeah, especially in this film, like they really give it to him. So I actually watched before or after I got done watching the movie. There's another scene with the younger version of him, to where, you know how they call him, like, I think they call him a pervert, like
Yes.
the girls call him a pervert. There's a deleted scene to where his stepfather also calls him that as well. So it was supposed to, like, show how bad that hit him at the dance, but they cut it out.
Yeah. So we get an honestly pretty solid opening
Yeah.
for for especially in the context of the time of these
Mhm.
horror movies. You get a yearbook kind of montage with each girl,
Mhm.
and he goes up to him at the dance, and they reject him in their own way. Our lead, Kate, is kind of the nicest to him, lets him
Yep.
down the easiest, like maybe later. Um, and it's pretty effective. And I remember when I was watching it, I was like, this score, this kind of sweet melody that they play is actually it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
The score eventually dissolves into this PBS crap.
It does.
Yeah, but I was pretty impressed with the little lullaby love music. But at
Mhm.
this dance, he finally goes up to Dorothy, who this girl is just she is so fat, Grayson, just a cow, just out of
Yeah.
control, just the most large. I mean, it's a little girl, like she's
Yeah.
she's perfectly she's cute in every way. and they're so mean to her. And Dorothy, accepts sweet little Jeremy's dance offer,
Mhm.
and they end up making out under the bleachers, right?
Nothing goes wrong after that.
Nothing. But like these boys come up and like they call her Buffalo, and they're
Yeah.
like, Buffalo's making out with a pervert. And Chelsea and I are like, Buffalo? Like she's like barely, like she's a
I know.
perfectly healthy girl.
I know.
And I think that's what Tim was saying, right? It's just like, why are
Yeah.
they like this?
Well, all of them, like,
Yeah.
the little boys and how the little girls were acting towards Jeremy, right? That's his
Uh-huh.
name. But just how everything was going on in that scene. She's just like, I can't believe this was like their first thought of what to do with the opening of this film.
Yeah. And I think I'm giving more time to the opening because it's honestly the best part of the movie to me.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
But like this group of boys harass them, and he's like, "Oh, he's making out with Buffalo, Buffalo," and then Dorothy is like, "He attacked me,"
Yeah.
and she totally turns on this poor kid. It's like he
Ruined this
attacked,
poor kid's life.
he attacked me under the bleachers. And it's so crazy because these bullies that call her Buffalo then like come to her rescue.
Of course, you gotta help her out. You gotta help out Buffalo.
and so and so yeah, they strip him down to his underwear, and they
Mhm.
fucking beat the hell out of him in front of
Yep.
everybody at the stands. And I was legit waiting, Grayson, for the old janitor from Austin Powers to go, "Ooh."
Or start, the laughing at him and everything.
But they beat this poor kid down. Flash forward to Katherine Heigl's character. She's on a terrible date, and Katherine Heigl's not that famous at this point.
No.
Chelsea was asking if that was like a Drew Barrymore type kill. And
Not that I know
yeah,
of.
I said not to that degree because Scream was marketed almost around Drew Barrymore. So she was kind of asking if it's like, was that like a big kill to have her go out early? And yeah, I was
I mean,
like,
she had been in Bride of Chucky before this, so people kind of knew who she was,
Mhm.
but it definitely wasn't like, oh, she's a girl from Grey's Anatomy at this point.
Yeah. But you get a pretty cool set piece with
Yeah.
these body bags. She's studying to be probably, I don't know, a coroner or a doctor, or she's
I
practicing
don't really
on.
know. She's
She's
just like pre-med doing something.
Yeah, she's practicing on bodies,
Mhm.
and she goes to a room full of body bags and she hides in one of them. You think, or at
Mhm.
least you think so. And the killer, who wears this kind of creepy Cupid mask, very Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
like blank space, like the killer goes through and starts stabbing all these bodies and stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was some good tension.
What did you think about the mask? Like seeing it as a 36-year-old, what do you think about
Chelsea
the
said, "I
killer?
hate the mask," and I was like, "It's a good mask." Then I was like, "Okay, it's a good mask." I think
Mhm.
especially considering, uh, like the great masks in
Yeah.
horror. It's passable for what it is.
Mhm.
I would love to do a video about horror movie masks with you someday.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a lot of fun to do. I thought it was great for the movie. I thought it was
Mhm.
I think it's as good as the John Carver mask.
Yeah, I like the John Carver mask a little better in
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, but for this one, it works for what the movie is, honestly. Sometimes it looks really creepy,
Hmm.
and sometimes it looks extremely dorky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mainly whenever the nosebleeds happen,
The
that's when
nosebleed.
it
Yeah.
looks. Yeah,
I think the nosebleeds is like an issue with the
it is.
writing for sure. And like what an idiotic thing to put into the movie as far as like trying to cover your tracks. It's like you
Yeah.
found the killer's blood at every crime scene because his
Yep.
nose bleeds like crazy.
He's bleeding everywhere,
Y-
every kill.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like the nosebleed thing. Obviously we will find out it's the hook of the entire twist ending, which
Yeah.
is pathetic. But I thought the mask was fine. I thought I thought maybe something more creative with the, I don't know. I don't know what else a killer's gonna wear but black, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. But the kind of coat and then the screen boots is all
Mhm.
fine. It's kind of juxtaposes the mask with like a very masculine
Yeah.
hardcore suit. But we get our first kill with that Katherine Heigl dying,
Mhm.
and they all go to the funeral together, and we get our first look at Adam Carr, who is David Bourniez, who is
Uh-huh.
Kate's, our lead's boyfriend. He's an alcoholic, and none of the friend group likes him. But all of the friend group does come together. Every girl that rejected him comes back to celebrate Sally Fisher's death. Or not celebrate, but go to the funeral. Dorothy is obviously in great shape now. She's not a buffalo anymore. And Chelsea and I were like, every time she was on screen, I was like, what a cow. I was like, buffalo. Um, but so the movie automatically starts setting up like it's time to find out what white male is doing this, because you get Adam Carr, the alcoholic
Mhm.
boyfriend, and then you find out that Dorothy is a little rich girl, Grayson.
Yep. She sure is.
And she's kind of being taken advantage of by character Campbell Morris,
Yep.
who's also another super hot white guy. Um, Also, Denise Richards goes on speed dating and meets Brian, who's another super hot white guy. And looking at the cast, there is zero people of color in this except for Dorothy's mail order stepmother, who's
No,
younger
there's
than her.
there's there's one other one during the speed dating.
During the speed date,
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
a black
Yeah.
guy in the speed dating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this really is like, man, like white people got problems
Yep.
with love, and so each girl, and then you have Lily, who is with artist Max. Uh, Again, another super hot white guy. Like,
Mhm.
so as the audience member, it's like, okay, we know it's either one of the girls or it's one of their boyfriends. Is
Yeah.
this kid that's come back? What are your thoughts on how fast they put everything together? It's like 20 minutes in, and they're like, I think
Yeah.
this, yeah,
It was you could really tell that whenever they wrote this film, they put all the creative stuff into the opening,
yeah,
and then the rest of it was like, hey, it's a Valentine's Day horror movie. Put somebody in a mask, make him run away, make his nose bleed, try to find somebody whose nose bleeds as well. Like, because honestly, like I completely forget about some of the characters in this film. Like with Campbell, like the only reason you remember Campbell's character is because he's just a piece of trash. The
yeah,
whole thing. But other than that, like the artist, I forget about until he shows back up at the end of the film.
yeah.
The detective, he's there, but he's just like a perverted detective.
So
But
I might have a very non-woke take here, Grayson.
okay,
The detective should not put it has the detective should not have put his hand on Denise Richards' thigh at all. That was
uh-huh,
inappropriate.
uh-huh.
Was he really inappropriate to assume that there was sexual tension between them?
Yes,
You
he
think
was.
so?
Yes, he was.
Because there was there.
like
Go ahead.
like I understand like how the Denise Richards portrays the character, like she is, very open with her sexuality and stuff like that in the film. But she doesn't really give him any signs the whole film.
There's
He's just kind of like, I've got a shot, I guess.
So we have Detective Leon Vaughn, who comes in to help the
Yeah.
ladies. He's a pretty effective investigator. He's asking some good questions, and he's like, okay, you guys got to be careful, stay in groups. There's a killer. But there's a scene where he's talking to them as a group, and he and Denise Richards have this very intense, like, let's get it on look at each other for a second. And he asks a question, and then Denise Richards like looks at him like this, and then he changes his mind immediately. And Chelsea goes, "That easy, huh?" And I go, "Chelsea, let me tell you one thing. if Denise Richards looks at you like that, you change your fucking mind. And she was like, all right, I got it. but eventually the detective tries to hit on Denise Richards.
Yeah.
I feel like he probably would have had a chance if he didn't do it in such a scummy way. I think he could have scored.
Maybe. It is so weird though.
It
It's
is.
such a
He's so
weird little
old.
thing. Yeah, he's so old. And then like the next scene after that, you have Kate going back to her house and Denise Richards is there, and the detective calls to ask more questions. So every time this detective shows up again, you have this thought of, oh man, now we got this really weird detective that felt on Paige's leg, and it's just really awkwardness between them the whole time.
Do you think the
So
movie wants him to be a suspect to the audience?
no, I didn't pull that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Like, no. I just think that they were just trying to be like, well, we got to give him some kind of trait. Let's make
Yeah.
him a pervert.
Yeah.
Let's make him a creep.
Yeah. But we kind of get this kind of tease that the killer is very unorthodox.
Mhm.
The killer doesn't have like a standard knife that they run around with. They kind of use the environment and weapons, as we get in our second kill, which is Lily Voigt, who's dating artist Max.
Yep, the Max. Yeah.
They're at an art show, and immediately they get lost in this kind of maze of video screens and stuff. And it's very strange. They have this scene where Max has tried to get Lily to have a threesome inside of his art project. And Lily dismisses him and is like, Lily's like, I gotta go out of town. And then like the maze starts to close around her, and the killer knows the layout of the maze, of the art maze, very well. And then fucking pegs her with 3 arrows from a bow and arrow. Like the killer's just toting this thing around, you know? Like nobody walked into the party with a bow and arrow and somebody was like, what are you doing? You know?
He's stuck in the back.
I will say, Grayson, would you say this is one of the most efficient kills of all time? Because he drills her with 3 arrows and she falls 20 stories down and into a dumpster that then closes.
Yeah, this one's pretty good because the cool thing about this is she's also going on a trip. So the fact that she is shot into a dumpster and hidden is pretty neat. Like, I'll give it to the film. That's pretty freaking clever in my opinion. Like I like how they did this kill.
It's an easy way to ride around, but still it's an easy way to get a body count higher, but to not have to worry about the ramifications of riding.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
But I think that like I remember that the bow and arrow is one of the things that sold me on the movie as a kid. From like seeing the trailer and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like
I remember there being in my head, I thought there was more bow and arrow stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
That scene. Like rewatching it again, I thought he killed like 3 or 4 people with a bow and arrow. But no, that one like 45-second scene is all you get.
Yeah. We get other weird stuff like again, Kate has a roommate or has a man that lives on her floor named Gary. She calls him Scary Gary. He's been stealing her underwear. And then he gets murdered by the Cupid killer
in a pretty brutal way too.
Yeah. Hot iron to the face, and then the killer uses the iron like a flail.
Like a mace almost.
Yeah, like a mace,
flail.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was so funny because whenever the killer kills him, and the killer kills him while he's stealing Kate's underwear in her room, I had to rewind the movie because I was like, what? Because I was like, why does he have so many pictures of Kate and Kate's roommates in his room? And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. He's the one stealing her underwear. I was like, why does he have so many photos of Kate in his room?
How did you get all these?
I was also like, why does he have women's underwear in his room? I was like, oh, that's not his drawers. That's Kate's drawer. Chelsea was like, you're a dummy. But yeah, the film quickly de-escalates into you kind of realize after the bow and arrow that it's like none of these kills are especially graphic. It's not even enough
No.
to like put the movie on a pedestal. It's like it all kind of cascades into this mess of a third act where
Yeah.
we get all the girls at a party, and Dorothy is. What is Dorothy celebrating?
I think it's just a Valentine's party.
Oh yeah, because that's why all the Valentine's
Yeah.
Day. I was
Yeah.
like who has a big party? I guess rich girls do that.
I guess so, because this thing is packed. There's like 100 people at this party.
Yeah.
Like, this party is bumping.
White girl got friends, dude. Everybody is at this Valentine's Day party.
They really are.
And they are playing nothing but the Matrix soundtrack.
Yep, you got Disturbed playing at one point. Like, they are bumping.
I think Rammstein's on the soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've told Grayson before I want to make a video about I've just had capture on screen the whole time. I want to make a video about the music in 2000 movies, but this is like a perfect example of like, why is that music in this movie?
No clue.
Yeah.
Whenever I got to that part of the film, I said out loud, I cannot wait to talk to Shaun about this moment, because it is so out of left field. Like, it doesn't match anything that's going on at the party. Like, why is there Disturbed playing at a Valentine's Day party? Don't know, but it's going on.
And I think it's like, I think it comes down to, this is such a targeted movie, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make a Valentine's horror movie that 16 and 17-year-old boys will watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we put Rammstein, and if we put, I don't know, whoever was on that, if we put that on the soundtrack, people will buy it at Walmart and then go see the movie, right?
Yep.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues with all 2000s horror, is it's such a, you look at like Talk to Me, or you look at Jordan Peele films now, or even Eggers, right? Filmmakers are now making horror films for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then people go and watch it because it's awesome. I think the 2000s, like this, maybe like House of Wax or Ghost Ship, while there are outliers, it feels so much like they were like, we're making a horror film for this demographic,
Yep.
And I think that's why these are so laughably bad.
Yeah, it is. It's laughably bad, but man, you can't help but just be like, I'd watch that again, though.
I think it's because as horror fans, there's so much comfort in watching other people make bad decisions. And
for sure,
honestly, like, besides Kate, none of this cast is likable. Like, Paige, Paige is terrible. Dorothy is a terrible character. It's like, I was just begging I wanted to see Dorothy like get filleted alive. I was like, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what happens. So at this Valentine's Day party, we get Paige, Denise Richards, and probably the best kill of the movie.
Or I was actually going to talk to you about this point, because this is where I have trouble with the film.
Okay.
It's deciding on what's the best kill of this movie.
Okay.
Paige's is really good, but I think that Ruthie's kill is also really good at this point, because she's the one that tells them about Campbell.
Uh-huh.
So she's the one that's coming back to get her money back. And then she's the one that gets thrown through the shower and then slammed onto the glass.
Ruthie's kill is pretty good.
It's gnarly for what this movie is.
Yeah. I would say that Ruthie's kill is frustrating because Ruthie is running and she's hiding in the sauna and she's made good hiding decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just comes out and she's running like, girl, wait till morning. Don't come out of this.
Yeah, I thought the same thing to myself. I would have just stayed there. I would have slept there. Eventually the cops or somebody's going to show up.
Yeah. Like, people are dead upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
like, but yeah, Ruthie's glass kill is pretty good. You have the most obvious neck stabbing a bull shower glass ever. these two spikes that she gets thrown in, and then she just get neck slammed right on there. And you have Paige's death in the hot tub at the dance at the beginning of the movie. When she's asked to dance by Jeremy, Paige says, "I'd rather be boiled alive." And we're like, okay. Chelsea goes, "She's gonna die by getting electrocuted in water." And I was like, I bet so. And I remember I had seen in the preview that I watched before the movie, I'd seen her get into a hot tub. So I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember that part. So I didn't remember who the killer was at all.
Really?
Watching, I had no memory of who the killer was. I had a thought as soon as I saw David, I said he's the killer, or David Boreanaz. I said he's the killer, but I didn't know he was the killer. Maybe subconsciously I affirmed it, but I was like, this is peak Scream copycats. Like the boyfriend's always the number one suspect in these movies. So, but we get this weird. Dorothy and Kate are our final gals, and Dorothy just becomes completely irrational.
Yeah, she snaps so fast.
Yeah, so Campbell, who has been her white male, is killed after it's revealed that he's trying to take advantage of her of her money. And she just goes off on Kate, who's just trying. Kate is upset that Adam has been drinking at the party. And Dorothy just goes off on Kate and is like, you're the pretty one and she's the hot one and I'm the fat one. And you're just jealous that it was the fat girl's time to shine. And it was like, I understand that they're trying to get the audience to think, oh, she's snapped. She's the killer. But like, it's not convincing enough to make me think she's crazy. It's just stupid enough to make me think this writing is really bad.
Yeah, agreed. And there's nothing that actress could have done to save that writing.
No.
There's nothing you could have done to save that scene.
Yeah, and we know, and at least I don't know how much Grey's Anatomy you watch, but I know Jessica Capshaw is a spectacular actress. In Grey's Anatomy, she loses her leg in a plane crash, and like, her ass is real when she cries and when she yells. And to see her, it was very strange. It'd be like watching like McConaughey drop the ball. Like it's like, this is a great actress who's just like getting served up the worst lines ever. But it's all very crazy. And the killer pops up, chases Kate up the stairs, and just give me a rundown of the end. I want to hear your thoughts on this finale here.
So you have Kate, who gets a gun and goes into the flannel room, as I like to call it, because for some reason
there's a plaid room.
It's just, it looks awful. Like, it hurts your eyes to look at this.
I'm so glad you brought it up, because I was like, Chelsea, what are your thoughts on that plaid room? And she goes, I hate it. And I was like, I do too.
It is so bad. And this is where the finale of the movie takes place. So you have Kate. She's got a gun. She's trying to find where the killer is to defend herself. She goes upstairs. She opens up the door. The killer tackles her down the stairs. She drops the gun. But don't worry, because Adam shows up at the right time and shoots the killer. And you're like, oh, man, I guess it might have been one of those speed dating people that she went with, right? Right? No. They take the mask off, and it's Dorothy. And it makes no sense of whatsoever that it could be Dorothy as the killer.
Yeah, and I go, oh yeah, it's him. And Chelsea goes, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like as soon as it happens, you cannot make yourself believe that Dorothy could be the killer of this film. It makes no sense of whatsoever. You can't. And it makes perfect sense that Adam is, because he's missing during every one of the kills.
Yeah.
The whole movie, he's gone. He's not near any of the people while the killer's there.
Yeah. I think maybe there's a suggestion that like maybe Dorothy's guilt drove her to kill all of her friends, like at the minimum. Like she traumatized herself, because I was just trying to pull any kind of logic out of like why they would think the audience would believe that she was the killer for a second, and yeah, there is none. I think that's the
Yeah.
closest I got. Like the guilt
Mm.
of lying about being attacked was so overwhelming that she just snapped. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um
Plus, the killer's like twice her size.
yes. Yeah, this is definitely
Yeah.
a larger person.
So after you have all that, you have Adam and Kate having their moment together of surviving, and Adam calls the cops. And then Kate can't believe Dorothy's the killer, and they're hugging. And then it slowly, or it's slowly paying up. A drop of blood hits Kate, and then it slowly pans up, and you see Adam's nose has been running the whole time. Surprise! Adam's the killer. Did you
Yeah.
see that coming?
Credits.
Did you see that coming? That's what I
Uh
would have ended the film with. I would have ended the film with a text box that popped up that said, "Did you see that coming?" Disturbed place afterwards. Credits Valentine. That's how I would have done it.
Oh my god, it is just so bad. I will say the final song in the credits was awesome, and I did Spotify the Valentine soundtrack. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, oh wait a minute, that's kind of a bop. I was like, I go, what a piece of trash.
What's that soundtrack though?
Yeah, because the soundtrack was pretty sick. But yeah, just complete. I mean, any cut to black on a twist is like, if it's not a 10-minute short, it's like, if a movie was a 10 and it gives you a twist and then cuts to black, like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like God, I know there's some out there that are okay, but for the most part, it's like, cool, -3 points, -4 points. I hate it, But yeah, just so strange.
Well, it also it gets to the point where you have to think about when the cops get there and start questioning Adam's character, it's going to be like obvious that he's the killer.
Yeah,
They're going to
yes.
show up and they're going to be like, there's no way Dorothy's the killer. It's Adam. It's
Yeah.
this guy. He's the killer.
I love
Put your hands behind your back. You're going down.
because our officer Vaughn has been killed and his head's been chopped off screen, unfortunately. And I love the movie's logic that he's the only cop that exists.
Yep.
Like, he kept no record of his case files, and
Nope.
nobody else is working on this but him.
Well, they also said that Jeremy Hall, that's his name, right? They
Yeah.
said that the detective was questioning him, and then they let him go. So are we supposed to think that Adam is Jeremy and the detective's been talking to him, and that's why he killed him?
Yeah, so they talk about this character that they have and they've been talking to this whole time. I got to be honest, Grayson, I just completely ignored that the whole movie because, like, I was just like, I'm just going to pretend that that's not in this because it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I thought that they were doing it to kind of make it seem like it's Adam that's Jeremy the whole time, but then it makes no sense because...
Or maybe to throw you off the trail that it's Adam the entire time.
I guess because Kate says that she knows Adam's mother and father as well. So I guess they've met them before. I don't know. It's very odd.
Yeah. But yeah, very strange indeed. I do have some fun trivia if you'd like to dive into for the here on the IMDb's. David Boreanaz shot his entire character role in less than 2 weeks.
Awesome.
There was a lot of talk about restoring the trimmed kills and releasing a director's cut, which I would watch. But unfortunately, it's all been from fans, and Warner Brothers has not shown any interest in releasing extended cut.
So I was going to say that I did, because I have the Valentine Blu-ray. I have the collector's edition of it. And there is an extended version of Denise Richards' character's kill, and it is way longer.
What happens in the extra footage of the hot tub?
It's a lot of like walking around, just kind of honestly just kind of torturing her by walking around and like slowly drilling into it.
Yeah.
And then, it ends the same way. But it's just a lot longer. It's probably about like 30 seconds longer in the deleted version.
Okay. Let's see. But unfortunately, nothing grotesque extra
No,
wise. Yeah.
no.
Jamie Blanks, the director, pointed out the difficulty of juggling the red herrings as every time he showed the killer, he had to be sure to account for others possible suspects. That's really tough when you have your leading man for 10 days. God throwing David Boreanaz under the bus. Jessica Caulfield remarks that her favorite scenes were her on-screen boyfriend, Johnny Whitworth. Most actors get exhausted from filming kissing scenes after a few takes. Caulfield said that she had no issue because Whitworth is a great kisser. And that would be, I think that's Max in the art exhibit. They must have had a lot of fun making out. And let's see. Tara Reid, okay. During the original casting process, Tara Reid was going to be Dorothy. Jennifer Love Hewitt was going to be Paige.
Oh, wow.
This movie would have been done gangbusters.
Maybe, yeah.
The Cupid mask in the prologue and later found by Kate is a red herring. The mask is never worn by the killer this mask is never worn by the killer. While the killer's mask encompasses the entire head. Chelsea actually said that mask annoyed her in the elevator because it was different than the killer's mask.
It is.
Yeah, Chelsea pointed that out, and that was on purpose. That's interesting. When Jamie Blanks first got the script, he assumed it was a reboot of My Bloody Valentine, which we'll be doing a review of shortly here on Carnage Candy, and passed on it. A reboot did eventually happen with My Bloody Valentine in 2009, which we'll talk about. Marley Shelton found out she was allergic to synthetic wool during the speed dating scene.
Oh, interesting.
Let's see. And let's find one more good trivia right here. Denise Richards was cast in the film without an audition. I will say it is like, when did Wild Things come out?
Probably 2000 or 99, right?
98. Okay.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
This was even before Starship Troopers was 97, I believe. Yeah, I think obviously Denise Richards went on to be a Bond girl. I think that I got this because Denise Richards was in it and she was my girlfriend after I saw Starship Troopers. So,
of course.
I do think it's interesting that Denise Richards is not the lead but sold the film.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other. Obviously, Scream. Drew Barrymore sold the film.
Yep.
Without being the lead. Can you think of any other examples of films where the non-lead sold? I know they exist. Paris Hilton.
Oh yeah.
House of Wax.
Yeah.
But that's
that
another
was gonna be
thing.
my next one.
Yeah, that's another kind of example of those weird, those 2000s movies. Like you just needed everyone's girlfriend to be on the cover, and you got it. But overall, I'll start rating out of 10 now. I would give Valentine a 3 out of 10. Would watch it again though.
Yeah, it's probably about the same for me. It's probably around a 3. But
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I would watch it again. I have a feeling you could probably make a killer drinking game out of this and just have the best time watching this film.
That would be a really fun Valentine's party to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is to watch Valentine and have a drinking game. But
yeah.
But yeah, the 2000s a weird time. If you have any other suggestions on fun 2000s films that you want us to review here on Carnage Candy, make sure and leave a comment below. If you enjoy content like this, make sure and go to hangtime.com or patreon.com/hangtime, and support it directly. You can get yourself a subscription over there and get early access to episodes. So besides that, make sure and go check out our review of, what do we have for them, Grayson, recently?
Ooh, we got Wolfman.
Yep.
Let's see. What else did we have recently? Oh man, Wolfman's the only one I could that's hitting me right now. Oh, the movie from Shudder. What was that called?
Oh,
Grafted
review. There it is. And now that's the end of the video because I got to put the end cards up there. Have a great day and happy Valentine's Day.
Goodbye.